Robinson for the touchdown.
And we are back. A little bit different show format than we're normally used to. Got a little tongue-tied there, but
after watching that game,
here.
I can't imagine you wouldn't be tongue-tied.
We are back right here on Out of Hibernation, USN's pre- and post-game show, when applicable, here on the Undefeated Sports Network. As always, I am Andrew Tarbill. To my left, I've got our guy, Angelo Ace Camacho. And it is not a good time to be a Chicago Bears fan, Ace.
No, man, not at all. One thing I will say good about that game is I believe I took a good little nap there around the beginning of the fourth quarter for maybe like 15 minutes or so. That's how boring that game was.
So I just want to start this off with some venting of the frustrations, because obviously you're frustrated and so am I after this disappointing outing that our Chicago Bears had. For those of you that were unable to watch it, good for you. At this point, the Chicago Bears came out, had a pitiful game against a very beatable New York Giants team. Obviously, we had some higher expectations going into this game and thought it was going to be a little bit better performance by Justin Fields in the offense. We highlighted this morning on the pregame that during our bare bones segment, the three keys to victory were: number one, Justin Fields having a good game; number two, Khalil Herbert having a good game; and finally, number three, Velus Jones Jr. having a good game. None of which happened.
None of which.
I mean, we did get to see one nice 50-plus yard ball thrown by Justin Fields, and
I told you.
There was some excitement there, and then my hopes and dreams were shattered away. I mean, realistically, it's just like this team can't get out of their own way. They can't stop stepping on their own dick, for
lack of a better term. I like it.
Exactly. Honestly, this Bears team is just so in their own way. You making play calling decisions that make no sense. 3rd and 3, you're fucking running it out of the shotgun. I don't understand it, Ace. Like, this is Matt Nagy-esque play calling. On the other side,
we got somebody joining us. I'll let you finish your rant. We're just gonna bring Turtle on with us real quick.
Sounds good.
Turtle, we're gonna let Tarbill finish up his rant real quick.
So overall, this Chicago Bears team has done nothing but disappoint. This afternoon especially, I mean, I thought that maybe Justin Fields would have somewhat of a rebound game, and then he just goes and does the polar opposite. I mean, he doesn't have a touchdown, has 50% completion rating by the end of the game, 100, not even 200
yards or something like that.
157 yards, not even 200. You cannot win games in the NFL by kicking field goals. I'm sorry, Badgley did a tremendous job as the fill-in there at kicker. You can't do it. Field goals don't win games unless you're kicking 17 field goals a game. Maybe not that many, but come on. It's just absolutely atrocious to see the level of disconnect that exists on the Chicago Bears offense.
What did I tell you before we got off the pregame show? I said that this was going to be a 19-17 victory, right? And the Bears were going to have 4 field goals. Well, the Bears had 4 field goals, but they weren't able to get it into the end zone. And I told you before, I said Velus Jones is going to play a big role in this game. Unfortunately, it was big in the opposite way that we wanted it to be. That big fumble at the end cost the Bears the game. Well, I wouldn't say it cost them the game, but it definitely put the nail in the coffin of that game, right?
So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. With Velus Jones, I mean, you have to execute. You have to be better. I don't care that it's your first game in the NFL. At the end of the day, that's your main job, is to be able to return punts and kicks.
Yeah.
And your defense does exactly what they need to do. They stifle the Giants' offense, 3 and out, the deepest possible punt. Best case scenario for the Bears there is just a fair catch, and you have to drive the ball 40 plus yards down the field. But no, we can't even have that as Chicago Bears fans. We can't even catch a punt right anymore. We've had a lot of special teams issues coming out of the gate this year. A lot of silly issues. It's plaguing this team, guys. It's one thing after another, and it's these dumb, silly little mistakes. I mean, they make the Giants fumble, and then there's an arguably questionable call as to whether the Bears had possession in bounds. Throw the fucking challenge flag. What are you doing? I'm screaming at Matt Eberflus through the TV like, this is ridiculous. You have to do something to spark this team, and not throwing the challenge in that sense makes zero sense to me. You lose a timeout. Who cares if you lose a timeout? What did you need them for anyway? You fucking had one left that you burned on the Giants while they were marching it down the field. Like, there's no rhythm, there's no consistency, and I'm just frustrated, boys. It's
the part that pissed me off the most is you're down by 8 with just over 3 minutes left, 4th and 2 across, midfield, and you punt the ball to give it back to the Giants.
I
don't understand that. Your defense has gotten run all over all game. Your offense, it struggled, but at some point you got to put your fucking balls on the table and be like, hey, we're going to take a shot at this. Because what's the worst the defense came up and they stopped them, right? But that also led to that fumble. I'd much rather, it's like, in the Broncos week 1, remember they kicked that long ass field goal and letting Russell Wilson have a shot at trying to get that first down. Same thing, man. If you're going to die, I'd rather die on offense with the Bears trying to get that first down. And hopefully something goes well. And it's just, it was such a.
I think at this point, I think I'm okay with that punt there in that situation. At this point, you can't trust Justin Fields to get you 2 yards at all. He's looked absolutely horrible. I understand the offensive line, the big loss with Cody Whitehair that opened up the floodgates and the Giants came after you. But he holds the ball too long. Run the ball. If you drop back, nobody's open, run the damn ball. You saw in the Seattle game, Geno Smith ran it 5 times for 51 yards. Every time Detroit got in there, he ran the ball. Even if you get 5 yards, it's still better than taking an 8-yard sack every time.
Yeah.
And Tarbaugh,
absolutely.
I disagree with you, but I think Khalil Herbert actually had a really good game. He had 19 carries for 77 yards. If you tell me my backup running back's going to get me 4 yards a carry, I'm okay with that. That you can't ask for more than that out of your running back to get you 4 yards a carry for an entire game with no threat of a pass offense at all. Defenses are lining up in a box because they're going to take the run away from you, and he still got 77 yards on 19 carries. I don't blame Khalil Herbert at all. This loss falls strictly on the head of Justin Fields. He holds the ball too long. He misses open receivers. He doesn't recognize open receivers, and when he doesn't connect with them.
Then he puts the ball in the hands of a wide open receiver.
So you're talking about one play.
Yeah,
one play. He got the ball in their hands and they dropped it. That does not get him off the hook for such a shitty performance against a bad defensive Giants team. That team has not played well against anybody, and you went out there and you look like you can't move the ball at all. And they can't.
What I would have liked to see was a little sense of urgency, man. Like every game I've watched this year, the Bears just look so lackluster and like lackadaisical and just okay with whatever comes next. And like, I'm sorry, but when you're a team that's trying to develop your whole team, not even just the quarterback, but as a team in general, first year head coach, new offense, a lot of new pieces on the offensive line, new quarterback, you need to set the tone. And when you're coming out and you're, I don't know if it's Justin just being Justin, but he seems a lot more just like melancholy than he did in college. He's not showing a lot of fire.
Justin Fields is Derrick Rose. Personality, mannerism-wise. I'm not talking talent or anything like that.
I get it.
He is a chill dude. He's laid back. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's
sometimes though sometimes you need to have a little bit of that. And I'm not saying, because he can't eventually be a leader for this team. But you need a guy who's going to have some fire and be like, all right, guys, we got to fucking go.
Well,
here's the time to show these people what we have and what we can do. And
you're forgetting one thing, though. The worst thing that happened to us as Bears fans is the Bears started off the way they did. They started off, we were like, hey, maybe we got a shot. This offseason they had, hey, we got a good football team. We don't have a good football team. We don't. Like, we all scoffed at the critics that said they could be the worst team in football record-wise. You know what? They very well could be. And at this point, I know I'm the minority, but at this point, I'm going to say that Justin Fields is not the guy until he proves to me that he is. Not that I'm on the fence if he's the guy. Everything he does makes for a bad quarterback. All he does well right now is run, and he doesn't even do that well right now.
He can't even fucking slide.
He hesitates. He doesn't. He always wants to make that extra move. He doesn't do anything. Like, yeah, he ran the ball decent yards wise, but
Daniel Jones had more yards than him.
Right. So I mean,
you got Daniel Jones out there looking like he's Lamar Jackson or something. With the way our defense played.
Mooney had the game he had. Nobody else had more than one catch. We keep looking at this Bears team and saying, well, why aren't they winning? The team sucks. They have bad players on this team.
Yeah.
You do not have a number one receiver on this team. Darnell Mooney's a number two. You don't have a number one. So if he's going to be your number one, then you don't have a number two. You don't have a number three. You don't have anybody after Darnell Mooney. And Mooney takes too many plays off for me to count on him. Yeah, he had a good game today, but where was he before this? Where's he been all year? You can't just show up when you want to.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet, they can't keep anybody off the quarterback, so they're keeping Cole Kmet in the block. You saw the pass earlier in the game. I think it was the second quarter or something. Fields hit Kmet for a negative 3-yard pass.
Yep.
Like, what was that going to gain? Like, you're one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL. Get out of the pocket and make something happen.
Yeah.
Now I do wonder though, Vince, if that's by design, by what Coach Flus and Getsy are trying to instill in
once
Fields.
The play gets underway, it's all hands on deck. Balls to the wall to make something happen. If you're going to be out there, you might as well try to win the game.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that kind of what we were hoping for, right? Is this kid from college who's going out there and he's making shit happen to have his team win the game.
Well, you look at Lamar Jackson, right? Everybody wants to beat up Lamar Jackson because he's not a pocket quarterback and he's not this, he's not that. But you know what he is? He's a playmaker. He makes defenses wonder what he's going to do, and they wind up being out of place. I saw it today. He had a run that right at the line of scrimmage, he pump faked over the middle. There was no receiver there. But you know what the two linebackers thought? They thought he was going to throw it to a receiver. So they both came up on him, and he went around him for another 8 to 10 yards. Like, those are plays that you have to make. But Justin waits so long to run out of the pocket that he wants to find a receiver so bad that he won't run. And by the time he tries to, it's too late.
Yeah, and that definitely is an issue. I don't disagree with you there. He's held the ball way too long over these first 4 games, and it's got to get better.
It's not just the first 4 games. It's all the games he played last year, too. That was the knock on him, was he holds the ball too long. All we heard all this offseason was, his mechanics are so much better. His release is so much better. Well, what about throwing the football? What about running? What about decision-making? What about reading a defense? It takes him way too long to get through his progressions that by the time he goes 1 to 4, he's already on the ground.
And does he even go 1 to 4, though? That's the thing. Like, I watched a lot of that game where they were showing replays, and his eyes are just fucking fixated on one dude, and that's the only dude he's looking for to be open.
Yeah.
And if that guy's not open, he's dropping the ball and he's running. And that's not how you win games in the NFL as a quarterback.
No,
it's not.
He's going 1-2, panicking and getting sacked.
And unfortunately for him, when he panics and when he goes to take off, he turns his back to the field. And that takes even longer than if he just ran. If he just got upfield and got, 5, 6, 7 yards and eventually breaks one for 20, 30 yards. He doesn't need to hit a home run every time he runs the ball. That's not what running as a quarterback is about.
Right.
It's about running to move the chains. I have been, and you both know this, I've been the biggest Mitch Trubisky critic there is. The thing Mitch did when the Bears were winning football games is on 3rd and longs, he was running for first downs.
Right.
He was picking and choosing his spots to run, and when he ran right away. How many times the year that they went to the playoffs, how many times did you see him pick up a third down with his legs? He didn't run all the other times. He threw the ball. He did this, he did that. But then when he ran fast. He ran right away. Everybody in the NFL is way too fast. The linebackers, the corners, everybody's running 4.4s and 4.5 and better. You can't just go out there and take your time and say, "Oh, well, I'll run, and if all else fails, I'll run." Well, at that point, it's too late. Yep. I said, is he even getting through his progressions? If he's only getting through 2, then he's got to be even fat. That's even worse because he's not even figuring out, oh, nobody's open, let me run the ball. He wants to wait to the very last second and then try to hit a home run.
Right.
Like, just stay ahead of the chains.
I mean, right now to this point, after 4 games in 2022 NFL football, Justin Fields has 297 yards total passing.
152
touchdowns most times in the NFL for a quarterback.
Right. 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Yo, there's quarterbacks who do this in a game.
There's quarterbacks who do that in a quarter or a half.
Most quarterbacks in the NFL can at least do that in 2 games. Like, you got a guy who's played 4 games in the NFL and has less than 300 yards passing total. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Dallas winning with Cooper Rush, Seattle winning with Geno Smith.
We got a comment here in the chat. I'm going to read it. It's a relatively long one. Y'all saying how bad Fields is and holds the ball too long, then follows it up with how bad the line is, no receiver to throw to. He made some nice plays today without getting out of the pocket and breaking sacks. With Mitch, these same people said he refuses to take the sack and forces interception. Now Fields doesn't do that, so find something else. I feel we have some Bears fans that just hate the Bears quarterbacks. Regardless, you'll find something to complain about. Makes it sound too easy to snap and run his job.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me respond to that. First off, you're going to hear us say a lot of things about the Bears offense because the offense is trash.
Yep.
The offensive line is horrible. The quarterback is horrible. The receivers are horrible. So, yes, they all are not good at their jobs. So, as far as that we bounce around and say something bad about everything about the Bears and yet still blame Justin Fields, he's the quarterback.
Right.
He gets the credit when they win and he gets the blame when they lose.
That's 100%. And here's the other thing. It's not just Justin Fields. It's not. But here's the when you got an offensive play caller, I don't care what anybody says. At times, yeah, he'll call a good play here and there. But overall, it's just confusing to me. You throw a 50-yard pass, right? Then the next play you come and run the ball. Why not throw something like a play action? Or, well, shit, we didn't see a single bootleg from that offense until after halftime while the Giants were doing it and just running it all over your face.
It's so frustrating. It's infuriating because, yes, Justin Fields needs to be better. The whole team needs to be better. And this whole team, as Angelo and Vince, you've noted too, this whole show so far, this team is, as you see in the background, garbage.
Trash.
I mean, there is not a single bright spot on the offense other than, I get Herbert's a backup. I would have liked to see a little more out of him today just because he stepped into that starting role. But
I mean, he stepped in because of an injury, right? Like if David Montgomery's not hurt, Khalil Herbert's not going to be your starter. He didn't go out and steal the starting job away from him. He's filling in for an injured player, and he got 4.1 yards per carry. I'm okay with that. I
would say he's the only one on this offense right now that gets a pass. If I had to pick one player that was deserving of a pass.
And I want to know how come, because I've seen a lot of comments after the game and throughout the game, where's the fall on the defense? You had 31 carries for Saquon Barkley. Tyrod Taylor came in the game and every play was handoff. It was Saquon Barkley.
They ran the Wildcat and
Geno Smith was one of 3. Tyrod Taylor. I keep saying Geno Smith. Tyrod Taylor was one of 3. He attempted 3 passes. Barkley ran down your throat. And you knew coming in that that's what they were going to do. Yep. Where's Roquan?
Roquan got shook.
Where's the blame for Morrow?
He missed a tackle on Tyrod Taylor that would have put him in 4th down.
Well, and how about Morrow? Morrow has Saquon Barkley dead to rights on that screen pass for a loss of 5 yards, and he gets away from him. He throws him to the side and winds up going 25 yards for a 1st down.
Yep. And I get it. He's Saquon Barkley. But at the same time, man, like the defense, it just sometimes they look so completely lost. Like they did that against the Packers also. They didn't know what was coming next. And that's your job, obviously, as an offensive coordinator, is to make the defense look that way. But your job as a defensive coordinator is to make the adjustments that are needed to be made and not just wait until halftime to make these adjustments.
Well, and the worst part is it's not like they just got out schemed, right?
Right.
It's not like Brian Dable came out and just opened up the playbook and was like, we're going to go balls to the wall, crazy as can be. We're going sandlot football. They ran the ball down your throat.
Right.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I know I go over this every show, but I'm sorry. If you're Roquan Smith and you want to be the highest paid linebacker in football, you have to make that play. You have
play
to
like you're worth $20 million.
You have to bring him down. You have to do whatever you have to do to not let that be a first down.
Right. Like that's you want that big money, you have to earn it.
Rushing to Saquon Barkley. You just can't. That's the one guy the Giants had.
Yeah.
So we got another comment in the chat here. Vince is wrong on Fields, but dead on with Herbert. Backup running back comes in and rushes for 4 yards per carry. Can't look at how he went wild last week, then hold him to those expectations. Herbert ran well when the defense went all in to stop the run.
So, I mean, I would have loved for that person to explain a little more what part of my dead wrong on Fields about.
I think
so. I would here's only the problem,
infer
right?
That it's the offensive line needs to give him more time.
And
here's my thought. Ace, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
I feel like as Bears fans, we want to give our quarterback the benefit of the doubt till it's beyond arguable anymore.
Right.
We
did that same shit with Mitch.
Other people, we saw it, even people with Cutler. Whatever end of the spectrum you end up with Cutler, it still was argued to the very end. Nobody ever wants to say, look, this guy's just trash. Like, I understand they moved up to get him. I understand the whole, it doesn't matter what school they went to. I understand all that. If you look at his field of work, he has too many problems that will never allow him to be a good quarterback unless he fixes those problems. You can fix a motion, right? Like if you have a looping release, you can fix that with coaching. You can fix going through the progressions. You can do different things. But when you need somebody to read a defense, you can coach them as much as you want. If he never processes it, he's not going to process it. If he delays and the hesitant to run, all those things, those are on Justin. You can coach him all you want. You cannot teach him to get rid of the ball. I mean, you go through all the processes and all the drills and all the to teach him to, but at the end of the day, Justin's going to have to do that on his own.
Right. And here's the thing about like what you just said. We've all wanted to see what improvement from him, right? And it just has not been there. You want this guy to be your franchise quarterback. He's not making the steps forward that you need a franchise quarterback to make. He's not getting better at reading defenses. He's not getting better at decision making. He's not getting better at figuring out, okay, get from one read to the next. He's not getting better at that. Yes, he has a flash play here and there, a good run or that 50-yard pass to Mooney or, a 29-yard run the week before. Like, that's awesome. But what we talked about on the pregame show, me and Tarbill, was quarterbacks that are successful have what? Consistency. Mm-hmm. If Aaron Rodgers came out and had the week that Fields had in week 3, you best believe week 4, he's not even touching anything similar to that kind of a game. Right. He is going to make himself have a better game. Mm-hmm. Fields has not been able to do that. And I'm not saying, obviously, that Justin Fields is Aaron Rodgers by any stretch. No. I'm just saying a quarterback that understands the game of football understands, okay, this is the thing that I did wrong. This is what I can't do wrong next week. And he does not seem to be able to understand that and dissect how to improve his game.
We got a good comment here. We have a good comment here in the chat from Brent Hiller. Y'all should be more upset with the coaching. I have to go on a tangent with this and completely agree. I am upset with the coaching because some of the personnel calls and the decisions that they're making on offense just do not make sense. You run 3rd and 3 shotgun rushes that don't convert. On 4th and 2, when you should have gone for it, you don't go for it. Justin Fields has the legs here to make the play. He hasn't really done so as much this season thus far, But on 4th and 2, you decide to punt it away. You show no trust in your quarterback. My biggest issue with the coaching staff is that they do not show trust in Justin Fields at all.
What have you seen through 4 weeks that would make you trust him?
And here's what I was going to say about that. Yeah, the coaching staff might be calling crazy things, but how are you supposed to see if he can handle these things? How is he supposed to get better at handling these things if you don't just put the ball in his hands and say, hey, we're trusting you to pick up a 4th and 2. The game is on the line in this exact spot. This is what you were brought here to do. Have you ever had a job where you're doing things and you kind of aren't sure if you're doing it correct, and you have this feeling like your boss is not really trusting your performance at work, and you're kind of shaky, you're afraid to do something because you don't want to do something wrong, or make the company look bad? That's where I feel like Justin Fields is right now. He looks so unsure of how to play football right now that even if the coaching staff is not sold on you, you still have the ability to go out there, make plays that are going to change that narrative for your coaching staff. And yes, the coaching staff has been rough, but you got to let Justin have an opportunity to prove it. And every opportunity that he's had, it just really hasn't gone well for them.
And I'll take it even a step farther. I don't remember if it was the same possession that they punted on 4th and 2 or if it was later in the game, but you punt the ball, you pin the Giants inside their own 6-yard line. The defense comes up with what you need. You stop them, you can force the punt, and then Velus Jones muffs the punt.
Yeah, that's the 4th and 2 that they punted on.
So let's take this step by step. 4th and 2, coaching staff says, we don't trust Justin. We don't trust the offense to get the first down. Let's pin them deep. We know they're going to run the ball. We're going to scheme to stop the run and get the ball back. You punt the ball. You do exactly what you said you were going to do, and you scheme to stop Saquon. You do that. You force them to punt the ball back to you, and the returner muffs the punt. In what way is that on Luke Getsy or Eberflus?
Right.
They did exactly what they tried to do happened. They were right. They made the right call. It's not on them that Velus Jones can't catch a ball, that his only job is to return the ball. All you have to do is fair catch that ball.
Yep.
That's not on the coaching staff that he can't fair catch a football.
Right.
That's
I'm not
totally on him.
I'm not saying that is on the coaching staff for that. Obviously, it's a muffed punt. He should have fair caught the ball. I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is in that moment, in 4th and 2, they need to say, okay, Justin, go make magic happen.
Why did they need to make that call? Because
you're down by 8 with 3 minutes left.
Because you're down by 8 and your quarterback loses confidence.
And if Velus Jones gets the ball and doesn't muff it, you have the ball charging down the field in great field position. They did exactly what you're supposed to do. They went for what they went for. It came up 7s. I will
say this about the coaching staff. They did some things this week that they did not do last week that I was happy to see, in terms of, okay, hey, we're going to use our timeouts before going into halftime to try to get our offense the ball. Okay, we get our offense the ball, and Justin Fields is just getting blown up the entire series. So that was just
this offense is too predictable, in my opinion.
Well,
that's the biggest issue.
Here's the thing. I will never, this entire season, you will never hear me talk about anybody other than like a Velus Jones situation where they have a fumble like that. You'll never hear me talk about somebody other than the few stars on this team. This team is not built to win football games this year.
Right.
They're going into the next offseason with the most cap space in football. They're looking to add picks. They're looking to build the team going into next year. This team is not built to win. So when you judge the coaching staff on a team of a roster built that's not built to contend, they're in a rebuild. We want them to compete every week. We want to see them win. That's not who they are. They're not built to win every week. Justin Fields, Roquan Smith, Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, Montgomery and Herbert, Darnell Mooney, and I guess Cole Kmet. Nobody else are you really looking at, well, you should produce every single week. That's not who this team is.
Right.
So we want to see them commit. We want to see them do this. They're just trying to do whatever they can to do to get a win every week. And in their mind, the best move was to punt the ball and pin them deep and get the ball back. They did that. Exactly what they tried to do happened. Velus Jones fumbled the ball. That's not on the coaching.
Yes, he did. And again, that particular play. I just want to see this team have faith in their quarterback. That's all I want.
Right.
What? Sorry.
Do you have faith in the quarterback at this point? Do you have faith in the offense at all that you think no matter what, whether it's 1 yard or 2 yards, no matter what, there's a play you can call that they're going to get the first down?
I will say no.
I think situationally.
No. 4th and 2. That situation, is there one play that 10 times out of 10 you're going to get a first down?
Yeah.
Shit, even 9 times out of 10.
With this offense?
No,
10
there
times
is not.
You think a bootleg is going to get you a first down?
2 yards, I think they can get. I think Justin Fields can get 2 yards 10 times out of 10 times.
I think what they need to do is start utilizing play action better. They need to start utilizing bootlegs better, understanding that their strength of this team obviously is not allowing your quarterback to hold the ball in the pocket to open the receivers downfield. We talked about this in the pregame, right, Tarbell? About you got all these guys, they brag about the speed. Oh, this guy's fast, this guy's fast, this guy's fast. Yeah, we're not even doing a quick slant route to get the ball to these guys to let them try to do something. It's either like, okay, we're going to run the ball, or Justin's going to take a step back and try to make something work 30 yards down the field.
I don't know why we're running so much shotgun when our offensive line is atrocious in pass block.
What do you want to run?
Anything
other than under center, play action, and bootleg.
So you want him under center, closer to the defense, where he has less time to figure out what to do with the ball.
Shotgun doesn't hold up though when
shotgun gives him
when
a
you've
better
got
view
three
of the
pass
entire
rushers
field.
coming through.
So
right. I mean, that one big sack was on a shotgun run.
So you've got Justin Fields who holds the ball too long, and you want to put him under center to make him drop back and then look up and try to figure out what's going on in the field.
I really just want to run more play action and bootleg, which they haven't done.
So we got a comment right here. What do you do with our number 1 pick, assuming the rest of the year is a bust? Well, week 4, I didn't expect that to be the
spot it is, right?
I mean, yeah, but if it's going this way, you would assume it's going to be a top 5 pick, right?
Well, but I think all that changes, though, right? Like if it's 1, it's one thing. If it's 5, it could be something completely different.
So let's say we're sitting at 3.
Okay, we're sitting at 3.
Because I don't think they'll be the worst.
I'm looking for an offensive lineman at 3.
Yeah, you keep Fields.
I mean, do you have something better at this point?
No, that's true. Why go to another rookie that you're not sure of? Might as well start building the rest of the team and see what happens and what quarterback falls into your lap.
Unless at 3, and I can't even believe I'm about to freaking say this, but at 3, if he's there, I guess you have to consider Bryce Young.
Alabama.
Didn't he just get hurt?
Roll Tide.
He just hurt his arm.
Yeah, shoulder's a little sore. He'll be fine. He'll be ready for next week.
He was shouldering the load.
Here's the problem. Unless this season goes horribly, horribly bad, are you going to be able to tell after the season that Justin Fields is definitely not the guy?
No.
So unless you know he's definitely not the guy, how do you move on?
I mean, I guess that's true.
The Bears are in.
But if he keeps playing the way he's been playing this whole year, we're looking at a 10-touchdown season from your franchise quarterback, man. Like that would tell me right there, hey.
So now then we go back into the same situation we were in when we took Justin Fields. Let's say that the greatest quarterback in the world is sitting there at 3. And you think 100% this dude's a sure thing, can't miss guy. Who protects him?
Nobody.
So unless and again, a lot of it will have to do with free agency. But the offensive line has got to be the priority.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you on that 100%.
So, and that's the frustrating thing is all the moves that we made to make this offensive line better in the offseason. And obviously you got second-year tackles with Borum and Jenkins. Well, second-year offensive linemen, depending on where they're going to put them each week.
Right.
But you've got 2 second-year guys that need to step up. You've got Lucas Patrick, who looked like a bum out there, and he's supposed to be a serviceable veteran. Sure, Cody Whitehair goes down. I get that. But at the end of the day, it's frustrating just to see that this offensive line is still performing so poorly. I mean, they're on par with what we had last year, if not worse, in the pass block.
Yeah, I mean, did you see a lot that you thought was going to make this team a better pass blocking team? Why do you think we're succeeding at running the ball so well? Because you added a bunch of really good run blockers.
Right.
Larry Borum is a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. Tevin Jenkins, at this point in his career, is a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. So you're having success running the ball because your offensive line, which in general most offensive lines are better running the ball,
right? Yep.
Because you don't have to have that constant pressure on you. But in general, the Bears' offensive line is a pretty good run blocking team. So you've got that going for you, but you need guys that can pass block as well. And you don't have that. You don't have a mix of it. You don't have a few guys you can count on at this point. You just don't. You know, the thing for me is I would love to have Ryan Poles in a room and give him truth serum and ask him, how many years is your rebuild?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What is the plan, right? Like, is his plan to use all that cap space and draft picks and everything and be a competitor next year? Or is this like a 3-year process? And if it's a 3-year process, then I'm not taking a quarterback. I'm going offensive lineman. I'm rebuilding the offensive line through the draft. And then because it's hard to get guys in free agency for offensive line.
Right.
The really good ones don't become available very often.
Well, and look at even average quarterbacks look serviceable with an offensive line that can protect them. Right.
I look at the Dallas-Washington game. They got Cooper Rush in there. When the defenses were able to get at him, he struggled. Today, the line gave him some time against a pretty good defensive front in Washington, and he picked apart the secondary. You know, like we fall in love with these flash plays that Justin has. But if you watch Red Zone on any game, any given Sunday, you watch Red Zone, you'll see teams make those flash plays every week. It's just part of football. Defense gets wrong, and they think run, and they go all out to stop the run, and you got a guy in a go route, or you got a guy in a slant that he makes somebody miss. You know, the flash plays are going to be there. You see these athletic quarterbacks, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whoever it is, Josh Allen, whoever it is, you see them make plays with their legs every week. Every quarter you see them make a play. So we see Justin make a play once every week, and we're like, hey, this kid's going to be special. But what if you look at the actual body of his NFL career so far, albeit very small sample size, what has he shown you that you're like, this kid's going to be special, other than those flash plays?
Nothing.
100%. He showed you a lot of things that give you concerns. Does it mean he can never be the guy? Absolutely not. Look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen, they were ready to write him out of football. They were like, what a bust. And then this dude came out year 3 and was like Gunslinger McGee out here throwing the ball over the football field, running the ball himself, you know. So until this thing runs its course, we're never going to know what Justin is.
I do feel that it's kind of odd, and I've said this when they did the hire of Matt Eberflus. You have a second-year quarterback, right? And you're trying to build an offense so that you can actually take a step forward in the NFL. But you hire a defensive-minded head coach, which, whatever, I get it. You know, not everybody that's an offensive coordinator is the best. Look at what happened with Matt Nagy. But, like, wouldn't you want somebody who at least puts that idea first? Like, hey, we're going to push this offense to a level that we can put up 30 points a game. And if the defense can hold up as average, we're going to be in a lot of these games. Instead of, well, hey, we're going to put a good defense together, and if the offense can put up 20 points, we might have a shot.
Here's the thing.
Somebody like Brian Dable, for instance.
Brian Dable.
That's who I wanted to be the Bears head coach. But
here's the thing, though. If Luke Getsy is a guy that can do that, does it matter if he's the head coach or the offensive coordinator?
I mean, if he's gone after a year, then it would have been nice to have him as somebody like that as the head coach, you know. But I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like, how is Matt Eberflus supposed to evaluate an offensive quarterback, an offensive coordinator, if he's not?
So Matt Eberflus is one of the best defensive minds in football, right? You don't think he knows? Say. You don't, right? According to what they say, obviously we don't. We can only go off what we see,
right?
But for all what we see, he's a pretty smart defensive guy. Don't you think he knows what makes a good quarterback? Don't you think he sees what a quarterback does, that he goes, oh, shit, that would beat my defense? Oh, my defense could really shut this down really easy. You don't think he can evaluate a quarterback?
I mean, I would like to think he could, especially since it's his job to do that now. But I think it would just be a little bit easier for that process to take place if it was a guy who understood how to scheme an offense to fit the strengths of his quarterback instead of having to find somebody to fit that scheme for them.
Okay, so
and
then
I know what Vince is going to say here. What strengths are you scheming to?
No, because he does have strengths. He's athletic, he's fast, he has a strong arm. I think he's got things that you can work with. However, right now he doesn't have the pieces to work with either. Right. So, but for this particular conversation, so you hire Luke Getsy as a head coach. Brian Dable, you hire Brian Dable as a head coach. So now you're scoring 28 points a game and your defense is giving up 38 points a game. What did you accomplish? Anything? Not at all. So does it really matter at the end of the day who is making the offense run as long as somebody is making the offense run?
Well, let me ask you this, Vince. Do you think it's easier to build an offense or a defense if you were a coach?
I think it's easier to build an offense.
Well, then the Bears need to fucking figure it out. Because if it's
right.
if it's easier to build an offense, I've been waiting 32
what are we
years
doing
for
here
them
in
to build
Chicago?
an offense.
But again, look at the Bears roster, right? And this goes back to they didn't build a team to compete this year. Darnell Mooney.
But it always seems
hold
like
on. Darnell Mooney. You think he's the number one on how many teams in the NFL?
None.
0.
I'll just take the offensive line as a whole. You taking that over any other offensive line in football?
Absolutely not.
Tight end position. Wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 3. Running back 2. Running back 1, I'll take him over some guys in the NFL. So how is that built to win games? How is that offense built to say, okay, well, this is what we need to do. This is how we win football games. This is how we make this offense work.
It's not, and I think to Angelo's point, and Ace, correct me if I'm off base on this one. I think the point is if you had a more offensive-minded guy that was making your offense put up 28, 31, 37 points consistently.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Let me ask you a question.
Take
Brian Dable and put him on this Bears team. You think the offense is scoring more points?
I don't think it looks as inept as it has.
But you think the offense is winning football games?
I think the offense is scoring more points. Yes, I don't know. Go ahead.
The Bears are what, 2-2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Brian Dable, they're 4-0.
No, but I'd rather see. If they were 0-4, I'd be fine if the offense looked competent. But this offense looks completely fucking awful.
And the defense looks like trash. That's what you would rather have.
Well,
so I don't think the defense would look like trash.
Because there's moments with this defense. There's actually decent stretches with this.
I'm saying if you brought Brian Dable in,
right?
If you bring Brian Dable in, your defense isn't as good as it is today.
Probably.
Which your defense isn't good enough to win football games right now. So you're going to worsen your defense, better your offense, maybe better your offense. Because, again, you don't have the weapons that anybody has.
I'm just going off of what we watched Brian Dable do with Josh Allen. Josh Allen was a struggling quarterback, right? The guy comes in there, he works with him, and now a couple years later, we're talking about Josh Allen like he's
top 5 in the league.
Right.
But with the two of when they both came out of college, was Justin Fields, did anybody ever think Justin Fields was going to be as good as Josh Allen was when Josh Allen came out?
I would say probably yes. Obviously, there were some concerns. There were obviously some concerns with his medical history and stuff before he came to the league. That's why he fell to 11. I don't think it was any of his intangibles or his quarterback play that pushed him down to 11. Like, obviously, when
Josh Allen came out, they said this dude's got the strongest arm in football. Where does Josh Allen have his most success other than his running? By throwing a deep ball, because he's got a stronger arm than anybody in the NFL, than maybe Patrick Mahomes.
And Fields has an excellent deep ball, though. You saw consistently at Ohio State, he threw over 50 with precise accuracy.
He threw really good to wide open receivers.
But I mean, but if you have that ability in your arsenal, right?
For him, he'll be really good with the Bears.
If you have that ability, because clearly he showed it in college, right? So the ability is there. You need somebody who's going to be able to nurture that ability, get that ability to get pulled out and be better at the NFL level. And that's not what we're seeing. We're not seeing any of his attributes really shine at all.
I guess ultimately, in my opinion, the issue is, again, like Ace said, if we were 0-4 and Justin Fields was progressing and looking competent in this offense, I would be okay with that. My number one goal for this season was to see Justin Fields develop, and we have not seen it thus far this year. That's my biggest concern.
And what if he doesn't develop? What if he never develops?
Well, he needs to go.
Then he's not the guy.
Absolutely, but that doesn't fall on the coaching staff.
Let me tell you this. I said this the other day on Twitter. I said, would you rather have Justin Fields or Geno Smith? And people laughed me off like, oh, my God, I can't believe you said that. Well,
Geno Smith had
320 yards today with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Against Detroit.
Right, against Detroit. But against Atlanta, he had 325, 2 touchdowns.
Atlanta got their first win today.
Well, that's fine. But the Bears also...
Detroit's a pretty good football team this year, though.
You got an offense in Seattle that's putting up 42 points. You got against an offense in Detroit that's putting up 30, 32, 35. Like, I'd much rather be on the losing end of that game.
So here's the thing.
Than the losing end of this game.
Give Justin Fields DK Metcalf, and I bet he puts up more yards and points too. Give him Noah Fant.
Maybe.
Give Justin Fields. You don't think so? You don't think
I think that the problem is a lot deeper than just this weapon or that weapon. I think it's an overall, this whole offensive system is doomed to fail because there's no consistency in the play calling. There's no I got 10% battery left on my thing, so we gotta hurry this up.
I have 3% battery
left. There's no consistency on the offensive side of the ball. There's no fucking risks. Like, they're even going out there and letting Geno Smith throw the ball around. Like, I get it, he's more experienced and blah blah blah.
He has 3 weapons that are better than any weapon on the Bears.
I get it, but we can't just it's up to the coach to figure out how to put these players in the best situation to win a football game, right?
And that's what they feel they're doing. And by punting on 4th and 2, they felt they were giving them the best chance to win a football game.
And I feel like putting them in a 4th and 2 punt is not putting them in that situation, which I get it. It's all about everybody's feel, but like at the end of the day, you cannot win in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot win in the NFL settling for 4 field goals.
But you said you don't care about wins. You just want to see Justin Fields play.
Right. But here's the thing.
So you guys
you're telling me on a 4th, you're telling me like on a 4th down in the red zone, you would not rather at this point in the season have Justin and your whole offense run something that they could work on, that they could use
what
to
the score
improve.
is. Depends the situation of the game. But
I would much at this point, what's a field goal do for your fucking team? Nothing.
They're in the business to win football games. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, but that's not what needs to happen. What needs to happen is developing a team.
See, but that's what
let's say they did pull this game out, right? And they did win, like I said, Tarbill, 19-17 in a world like that, right? So I would have rather lost a game 35-30 than won a 19-17 game, because what does 4 field goals do for your team?
So
nothing.
So I do want to say this. Even at the very end of the game, you've got 3 seconds, 4 seconds, whatever it was left on the clock, and you run some fucking lateral happy play that the Detroit Lions made work one time 15 years ago. Justin Fields has an arm. Let him throw the ball in the end zone.
And I know what people are going to say. Well, the offensive line wasn't there, but no.
I don't care. Run a roll out to the left side of the field.
5'7".
Run a roll out to the left side of the field. Give Justin all the time he needs to get the receivers downfield. He throws a 55, 60-yard bomb, whatever it was, to the end zone, and you put it where there's 3 receivers and however many fucking defenders based on the coverage, and you give those guys a chance.
Right. I would rather that be the chance than the chance they gave them.
So the Bears offense looks like trash all day, and they come up with a fluke Hail Mary to win the game, and that makes you feel better?
No, but at least it shows that they're taking a shot down the field.
Yeah, take a shot with your quarterback. That's what it boils down to.
A Hail Mary isn't taking a shot. A Hail Mary is exactly that. A Hail Mary, you've got nothing else.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to Justin Fields' mindset to take a shot at a Hail Mary, and let's say it converts, right? That I guarantee you is going to be a bigger confident boost than whatever the fuck play they called. That didn't work at all.
Justin Fields back. You go for a Hail Mary. He has to hold the ball because you got to wait for the receivers to get to the end zone, and your offensive line, you can't hold up on a regular pass. Let somebody in, and they hit Fields, and he blows out his knee. That was worth it to take a shot at the end zone.
He could have blown out. He could have got a concussion. He was hit plenty of times today trying to run the ball.
You're looking at one play. They're looking at a season. They're looking at a career. You're looking at one play. I could give two shits if they take a Hail Mary at the end of the game or they try some fluke play. Because you know what a Hail Mary is? It's a fluke play. They're both the same. They're probably not going to work. If you look at all the Hail Marys, other than Aaron Rodgers, who seems to be able to figure out how to throw a Hail Mary for a touchdown, nobody else does it work for. Hardly ever.
And it wouldn't have even had to be that way if they could have called a better play when they got the ball back. So they had two offensive
and Felix
plays.
Jones could have caught a punt, and then we would be talking about different too. You're talking
right,
about
but I mean, if we're gonna play that game, though, well, if this happened, that happened.
Well, no, I mean that's what we're doing, though, right?
Right, but if we're gonna do that, we could be, like I said, we could easily be 0-4, and this could be 100% worse. Because I'll tell you what, if you're looking at those numbers and the Bears are 0-4, this fucking city is burning.
Here's the thing: at the end of the day, we're all looking at what we want to see out of this Bears season, and at the end of the day, Matt Eberflus is worried about what his boss wants him to do, and his boss wants him to go win football games. So whether they're 2-2 and the team doesn't look very good, or they're 0-4 and we're like, maybe Justin Fields is the guy, they're going to take the 2-2 every day.
Well, then Matt Eberflus's boss is wrong.
The three of us are going to take the 0-4.
As Brent says here, we want to see Fields get the chance to throw. Is that too much to ask?
He threw the ball 22 times today. You see, that's what I mean. Like, everybody keeps picking all this bullshit about, it's this, it's this, it's this. He threw the ball 22 times today and looked like crap 22 times today.
He threw the ball
11 times last week and looked like crap doing that too.
So he threw the ball 22 times today. Total.
Everybody said we want to see Fields throw the ball more. So you saw him throw it the most he's thrown it all year today.
Right.
I want to see them
yards.
I want to see this team bear down on Fields and put the load all on his shoulders and throw it 30 fucking times a game.
That's not how you develop a quarterback. He's not ready to do that.
Well, they're not developing him at this point anyways.
Because Bears fans want to see him be that guy right now doesn't mean that that's the smart move. You don't take a whole offense and put it on Justin Fields and be like, okay, Justin, go win us a game. Two things. One, he's not capable of doing that yet. And two, you don't have the pieces for him to do that with. So I don't understand where everybody wants to see all this stuff that's not a reality. You don't have a good football team. You have a football team that's built to have a high draft pick. So every week we're going to sit here and we're going to say, well, they lost because of this. They lost because of this. They lost because the team was built to lose. They had to come in, take a team.
You don't build a football team to lose, though.
Listen, they came in, they took a team, and they had two choices. You stay where you are and suck, or you strip it to the bottom and build your way back up. That's what they did. They stripped this team to the bottom. You're going into next year with the most cap space in football. You're going to have a high draft pick. That's what you do when your team sucks. You don't turn it around in 1 year. First off, there weren't free agents to sign to make this team win this year. So now
they definitely could have got a receiver or two to help.
I think in the draft, instead of drafting 2 defensive players, you could have easily drafted 1 defensive player and a wide receiver.
Sure.
You could have drafted Chris Olave, a guy that Justin Fields was comfortable with, out of Ohio State, who's had big numbers for the Saints so far.
When were you going to draft him? The Saints took him in the first round.
I mean, you could have packaged those first 2 those second-round picks to get up to that first round.
You could have moved
No way. There's no way the Saints are moving back for 2 second-round picks.
Well, maybe not the Saints, but somebody else.
Somebody else would have.
You could have figured something out.
Anybody thought he was going to go. Nobody thought he was going to go as high as he went.
Look at the Bengals, right? The Bengals knew what they needed to do with Joe Burrow was what? Get him somebody that he was comfortable with. I agree with Tarbill. I think the Bears should have done whatever they can in a realistic manner to have moved up in that draft and got somebody, especially I think Chris Olave would have been a smart play because there's that chemistry
Chris Olave is not nearly the receiver Jamar Chase is.
Well, that's fine.
So by saying that you got somebody who's comfortable for Joe Burrow, it also helped that he's super talented. Like Chris Olave is pretty good, but I'm not ready to say he's.
He's better than any guy there's on the team right now.
What's that?
He's better than any guy on the team right now.
Plus,
he's got the chemistry factor with Justin Fields.
So what does that do to make you a better? What does that do to make you a better football team?
Because
now it makes your quarterback feel more comfortable.
He's like this much better than Darnell Mooney right now. This much.
I would argue.
I would definitely disagree with that.
You guys can say all you want, but in the games he's played this year, he's about that much better than Darnell Mooney. At this point in his career, I think he will develop into a better receiver than Darnell Mooney, 100%, I believe.
In this year alone, he already has 21 receptions, 335 yards. So he's a little bit more than just this much better than Darnell Mooney.
I said his talent. I didn't say his production. Because if you want to talk production, well, it's two totally different teams.
I feel like you have to have some form of talent to be able to put up those kind of numbers. Like,
you also need a better quarterback.
Is Jameis Winston a better quarterback?
I don't even think Jameis Winston was the quarterback today.
He wasn't today. No, he wasn't today. It was Andy
right,
Dalton.
and Chris Olave still put up 70 yards with a touchdown on 4 receptions.
He also had 35 on one play. So,
32, but still.
Sorry, 32. Sorry, I got that one wrong by 3 yards.
But still,
so you had 32 on one play and 40
Are you trying to mock me? I can't understand.
I'm just saying you can pick all the guys you want, but he had 40 yards the rest of the game. Big deal.
I think
I'm just saying
we talk about building a total
team.
We talk about building a total team, and the problem with this team is how do you develop a quarterback, right? With, like you said, Turtle, the weapons that you give the guy, but then we try to find, okay, well, imagine if he had this weapon or that weapon, but that still wouldn't develop the quarterback. So there's this like circle that we're dancing around in here, and it's just not. It's the overall agreement that we can all come to is that this team is 100% screwed at this exact moment.
Well, here's two main keys to that. Again, I believe it's harder to build a championship caliber defense than it is to find receivers and guys that can make plays. Because those come about in free agency. You can get them in later draft rounds. They've addressed two big needs with those two defensive players they took. So, they could have packaged those together and got Chris. Let's just say they got Chris Olave. So now you've got Olave, but you don't have Brisker and you don't have Gordon. In the long run, is your team any better? No, you're not any better. Your offense might be a little better, but your defense is worse. And two, the main thing about all this, I don't believe Justin Fields is the guy. I don't believe he's ever going to be the guy, and I don't believe he's going to be a championship starting quarterback.
And I understand that, right? But the conversation about the defense, like you said, they drafted those two guys. They could have went up and grabbed a wide receiver. It's 2022. Defense is not the end. The should not be your focal point in this NFL.
Defenses don't win championships.
Right.
In this
your focal point was what? To give your young quarterback, whether you think he's the guy or not, the best opportunity to win in football games and to showcase his talents.
Evaluated him and they decided he's not their guy. You want them to add pieces for him, even though they already plan on getting rid of him?
Well, if they're going to add pieces, you might as well add pieces for the next guy.
Why not build the defense and then build the offense with the guy you go get?
Because we've seen the Bears build defenses for guys. Mitch had a great fucking defense, right? And he was awful. Cutler had great defenses.
It's easier to go into free agency and find receivers than it is to go find a starting safety and a starting corner. It happens every year. Guys become free agents as receivers, and they go out and they go to new teams. It happens every year. Guys become available. You can spend money and go get receivers.
That you can, and that they should.
Corners don't become available.
There's no reason this Bears team didn't go get a true number one receiver for Justin Fields. Whether it was in the draft,
who were they supposed to go get?
Whether it was in free agency, Maybe you make it work with Allen Robinson.
Well, right. I mean, there you go. You throw a shit ton of money at Allen Robinson, whether we think he's a number one receiver or not. He was a number one receiver on that team. He already had some kind of chemistry with your young quarterback. Why not? If it's all about throwing money.
You guys are the same guys that sat here with me just 3 months ago, and said they shouldn't pay Allen Robinson that money.
I agree, but I was also in my mind that they were going to use some of their draft capital to draft a wide receiver instead of just completely abandoning that until the third round. And then you get Velus Jones. There was definitely caliber players for the defensive side of the ball in round 3 that they could have grabbed and still potential. Well, you got this defensive head coach, right? A guy that's supposed to be able to make your defense better. So you get a younger defensive player in the third round, and you develop that guy with a coach that's better at developing defensive players, and give your young offense a wide receiver that he can at least try to develop chemistry with, because that's what this NFL calls for. Look at the teams that have the best success. The teams with the best success have multiple receivers on teams that are able to get the ball whenever they need to get the ball, right?
And there was a kid in the third round, arguably, who was better than...
Oh, I think Vince's phone died.
Oh, shoot. I think there was arguably a guy in the third round that was better than Velus Jones that you could have grabbed in Bell from Purdue. I really liked him, and I was very surprised that he fell to the third round. It's all apples to oranges, right? I don't necessarily agree that... Yes, defenses may be harder to fill skill positions for, but in this league, it's a scoring league. And if you can go out and score 40 points, I don't think it matters. I don't know. Philosophically, I think we obviously have the same overall expectation for this team, and that's that they have to do better moving forward, plain and simple. So hopefully this team gets it together a little bit. I understand they're not a championship contender. I don't plan on them winning the Super Bowl or making a deep playoff run, but you can't go out there and play atrocious football.
The worst thing that could happen to this football team is for them to accidentally fall into the playoffs. That is the worst possible thing that they're going
to go out next week and play a pretty tough Minnesota team.
They're going to get rocked.
We're not going to beat the Vikings with the way we're playing right now, and we're not going to beat the Lions with the way we're playing right now. I could very well – I was at 10 wins at the beginning of the season. 4 games in, I could see this team not even covering and, winning only 5 games. It's sad,
I could see them winning only 4 games. If you're really looking at it at a broad lens, right?
Right.
They're the worst team overall in the division because they're going to play Detroit, right? Well, Detroit's defense sucks. Yeah, but their offense can put up points. And your defense has struggled hard, right? You're going to play a Minnesota team that's an overall well-rounded team that's going to just destroy you. They play the Bills. That's going to be a train wreck of a game. Yeah. They play the Packers again. Then they play the Cowboys. That might be a victory, but the way Cooper Rush is playing, or, if Dak comes back, even, this team has the best thing for this team right now, as we stated at the beginning of the year, is to see their quarterback develop. That is the only thing that matters. And I know that
we haven't seen it through these first.
Well, and I know Vince said, well, Eberflus is doing what his boss wants him to do. Okay, well, then his boss is wrong. Because his boss needs to realize it's not about games. You just got hired, dog. You have a few years.
Yeah, you're not on that short of a leash. Buddy.
Your job right now is to develop your quarterback. Period. End of story. That's the only thing, and everybody knew that was the only thing this year that mattered, was the development of Justin Fields. Period. And that's how I'm going to end this show.
And we haven't seen that development thus far. It's frustrating, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening in while we went on a little bit of a tyrant rant here. I mean, it's tough being a Bears fan right now, 4 weeks into the season. Hopefully we see something next week that at least makes us feel a little bit warm and fuzzy about Justin Fields. He had that one flash play of 55 yards, nice ball downfield. Other than that, we just didn't see it again today. And the kid's running for his life. He's not getting the time that he needs to be able to try to make all of his reads, and it shows out there on the field. So I don't know, maybe they'll sell the team to Bezos and he'll dump some money into it rather than the same mediocrity that we've been experiencing over the last 15 years, really. So with that being said, guys, thanks for joining us. We will be back live.
We got one comment. Here we go.
Oh, go
Sell
ahead.
the team. Bears fans are fed up. Nice.
Yep,
Thanks, Brian.
I agree. I'm fed up. Thanks again, guys, for joining us. We will be back next Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for the Out of Hibernation USN Bears pregame show. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all platforms. We are on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Try to say Twitter and Twitch back to back. Not as easy as you would think. Have a good afternoon, guys. Enjoy the night games.